in 1995. And from 1995 to 2022, Prabhuji has been there on all Mangal Aartis. Chanting japa and very great emphasis on the morning program as far as sadhana is concerned, consistency is concerned. Second thing that really inspires me is being the temple president, the amount of classes that Prabhuji serves. Because generally you can see those who are into management, they get more busy with management meetings. But Prabhuji has set up a very nice council, temple council, and they take care of the management, and Prabhuji does preaching. Many times 2 classes, 3 classes, 4 classes also. Yeah. And not just speaking, preparing PowerPoints during the COVID time. The 2 years of COVID, Prabhuji utilized in making as many PowerPoints as possible. And here is the interesting thing. When we make PowerPoints, I'm talking about myself, we put our logo there, copyright, so that nobody can take it. Prabhuji makes all the PowerPoints and keeps it free download for anyone and everyone on his website, so that when we have to preach that topic, we can use the PowerPoints that Prabhuji has made. Also, coming from South India, from Madurai, Prabhuji has no background in Hindi, but he learned Hindi and now gives excellent classes in Hindi to preach Krishna consciousness. Prabhuji is more than 50 years old and learned Mridanga during the COVID time. Something to boost his preaching. And apart from that, personally going deeper in his study, Prabhuji was part of the Bhaktivedanta Vidyapeeth program. And I would like to share a 11-minute video with all of you where Gauranga Prabhu and others speak about Radheshyam Prabhu's stay at the Govardhan Eco-Village studying the Bhaktivedanta Vidyapeeth program. Practically every test, His Grace Radheshyam Prabhu had 100. And he moved all his weekday preaching to the weekend. So Monday to Friday, Prabhuji would be at the Govardhan Eco-Village in Mumbai. And Saturday, Sunday would come back to Pune, and whatever he has studied, he would share in the classes and preach. Now, with all of this, one more thing that really inspires me, in his classes, you can find a perfect blend of storytelling, wonderful slides, real life examples, lots and lots of shlokas, and relatability points for application for students, youth, grihasthas, etc. And last, I don't want to extend it as a class, but the last, although I would love to, but the last point is Prabhuji's service attitude himself. When I had the good fortune of being in NVCC, Prabhuji, who's known for his classes worldwide, exemplified humility by being in that assembly and hearing classes of all speakers and taking notes sitting ahead. And after that, when we went to the Prasadam hall, His Grace Radheshyam Prabhu was jumping from one place to another, serving rotis to the devotees. So perfect blend of sadhana, seva, swadhyay, sangha, sadachar. And Prabhuji is oftentimes called as the brahmachari manufacturing machine. For so many years that Prabhuji has been preaching, so many brahmacharis have come out that other ISKCON temples are asking, can you send some here? So Prabhuji sends brahmacharis, 50 brahmacharis here, 20 brahmacharis there, and they set up a center and they create brahmacharis and they open up newer centers. So in this way, Prabhuji's purity, his renunciation, his knowledge, his dedication to Srila Prabhupada's conclusions, and last but not the least, with all of this, every day Prabhuji from 7 to 7:30 in the morning goes to the street and does street Harinam Sankirtan.
Haribo!
And during the Gita Marathon, His Grace Radheshyam Prabhu came first in the world for book distribution. Quite
Haribo.
shocking, right?
Jai
You're still digesting that? Focus on book distribution, personally going through local trains and distributing books. So we are supremely fortunate, and I must confess in front of so many deities, my personal love, admiration, and I'm almost a fan of His Grace Radheshyam Prabhu. Every day when we worship our deities, it is Radheshyam Prabhu's classes that I personally hear.
Haribo!
And not just that, I ask questions and Prabhuji answers through emails. He keeps time for answering also. So we are all very, very blessed, very honored that His Grace Radheshyam Prabhu and Sri Gopal Pran Prabhu, His Grace Gopal, Sri Gopal Pran Prabhu travels everywhere with His Grace Radheshyam Prabhu, humbly serving him. So Prabhuji serves the Supreme Lord and Sri Gopal Pran Prabhu serves Prabhuji.
Haribo!
So we are all very fortunate. Both of them have come here. even if it's just for one program, let us all, with thousands and thousands of years and an open heart, receive the teachings that we receive today. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Haribo.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. नाम संकीर्तन की श्रील प्रभुपाद की अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की निताय गौर प्रेमानंद ज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम् वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरोः श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरुन् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनासहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगण ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च नमो ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषशून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशकारिणे नमो महावदन्याय कृष्णप्रेमप्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्य नाम्ने गौरक्षसे नमः वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय 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 नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरये नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवत्युत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिकी कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नन्दनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः।
Radheshyam Prabhu ki.
I'm very happy to be here. I'm coming to Atlanta for the first time.
Haribo!
There's Amarendra Prabhu and his parents and his brother Arjun Sakha Prabhu. So they became very friendly and very close to us a few years ago. Both the sons, they come from a very wonderful family. Right from childhood, getting in touch with his own Bhakti Sarup Damodar Maharaj. And later on, Indra Prabhu, he got the very powerful, very strong association. And both parents have raised them in such wonderful Krishna consciousness. So one of the things that amazed me the most when I met him first time was I was holding a degree from Minnesota University. He's a master's in business administration, but his only business is to glorify Krishna. So I was telling him that you are like a Padma Patram Ivambasa. Krishna says, it's a literal example for that. Like a drop of water in a lotus leaf, untouched. Like a lotus in the midst of muddy pool. Material world is like a muddy pool. But if one is absorbed in Srimad Bhagavatam, one can be like a lotus in that. So, in this world, good association is very rare. And good association is the means for very swift advancement in spiritual life. It's the greatest secret. If anybody wants to be saved from all the dangers of the material world and elevate oneself, then one should seek out good association. I have come here only for that purpose. He used to always glorify Adi Gadadhar Prabhu. I have spoken to Adi Gadadhar Prabhu on phone many times. So I have observed both these devotees, their sadhana, their study of scriptures, their one-pointed focus, Vyavasayatmika buddhi, Ekeha Purnandana. So all these things were very, very inspiring to me. I am like a nectar collector. I had gone to Delhi. I spent some 5 hours with Amaglila Prabhu, and very good discussions we had. Question answer. Of course, when I went to Amaglila Prabhu's room, immediately 50 people entered the room. I told her, drive out everybody. I have come to talk to only you. He said, but they want to hear from you. So, of course, I could keep them away for almost 3 hours, 2 to 3 hours. After that, everybody pushed the door and barged in. Amala said, now I cannot do anything. And we had a talk after that. So here also we had a very good talk today afternoon. And they came, many, many nice things I learned by hearing from both of them about right from the morning to night, how they spend their time, how they study the scriptures, how they keep the focus, and some of the Shastric related queries and clarifications I could discuss also. Very, very wonderful association. Amongst the 6 type of loving exchanges, which we call as Priti Lakshanam, correct? In that, the 2 most important things is Guhyam Akyati Prachati. We will see Nityanand Prabhu and Advaita Acharya Prabhu are very close friends. Swarup Damodar and Pundrik Vidyanidhi are very close friends. Sanatana Goswami and Haridas Thakur are very close friends also. And Ramanand Rai and Lakshmi Chaitra Mahaprabhu are very intimate friends. And also Nityanand Prabhu and Haridas Thakur going for preaching together, preaching partners. And also you'll find Gopinath Acharya and Sarvabhat Acharya are very thickly related. So in our spiritual life also, we won't be able to meet thousands and thousands of people very closely. But we should have a handful of friends whose character and whose devotion, whose lifestyle we very much cherish in our hearts. And if you are really intelligent in spiritual life, we should take out time to meet each other and have some exchanges. That type of dialogue will be extremely fruitful. You can see Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu sitting with Ramanand Rai in the bank of Godavari, spending so many hours, and later on inviting him to Puri to stay for further. So Mahaprabhu preached 6 years, and another 18 years he was cherishing blissful Krishna consciousness in the association of devotees. You'll see that. So he became like a powerhouse from where he dissipated disseminated the Krishna consciousness far and wide by the wonderful Vaishnava lifestyle he led in Puri. So in our life also, there's a saying in English, your words speak, your actions speak so loud that I cannot hear what you say. So the meaning of that is what? When people see that Vaishnavas are deeply appreciative of each other, and they also are humbly inquiring from each other, and they put aside all kinds of differences and delight in Vaishnava association, then our society will become very attractive society. So this is actually the secret of advancement. You will see that in Vaishnava culture, the culture of respect, culture of accountability, culture of preeti exchange, loving exchange, culture of trust, and culture of sharing, caring. So these cultures are very important besides our performing our Vaidya sadhana bhakti basics like 16 rounds of chanting and following the 4 regs and basic practices of Krishna consciousness. So both these devotees are very wonderful devotees. So, along with their, when I say both these devotees, their wives are included, because husband wife are one unit. Without wife support, no husband can do anything great in life. Similarly, the parents also play a very important role. So I am very choosy about good association, but wherever it is available, I will go and surely take advantage. I have friends like this, and amongst my friends, I count these devotees as very, very special. So I'm very happy to be here today. Generally, when I go to any community like this, rather than speak something which is at the top of my mind, I first give opportunity for them to ask question. One or two questions from Prabhuji's side, one or two questions from Mata's side. If they say, no, anything is already you speak, then I speak. But I have one topic in mind, but I will only speak it after hearing one or two questions from you, because you all have heard a lot from Amarendra Prabhu and Adivada Prabhu here. Many things I'm sure you are contemplating in your mind. There may be something in your mind which you might want to inquire. So we will hear from you first, and then I will start. Yes, you can give them the mic.
Yes. So Prabhuji and Mataji, you can please raise your hand if you have any questions. So I can pass the microphone.
And the questions arise when you hear and read the scriptures, and then it will be lingering in our mind. If you have any lingering questions like that.
Shashi Pran Gaurav has a question. So we have to switch it on. It's off.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, very grateful to be in your presence, Prabhuji. I'm a big fan of yours. Prabhuji, I have known you, I think, for the last 10, 12 years. And I see you're very focused, very determined. And I heard from other devotees also that you are very good sadhana. I want to understand, Prabhuji, what drives you? What motivates you?
Thank you. Yes. I will remember all the questions, whatever you ask. And you will see that my lecture will cover whatever you are asking. Okay. Anybody else? Yes. There is one question.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Please accept my humble obeisances. Thank you for your presence, Prabhuji. My question is related to same line with Sachipan Prabhuji. That being a householder, sometimes we are so much engaged in our household duties with kids and some household chores that we sometimes we don't feel consistent in our sadhana. So how you motivate a householder, being a wife or being a mother, how we can be consistent in our sadhana?
Okay. Thank you. Yes. Anybody else? Yes, there are.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Pranam, all questions to the Prabhupada. Prabhuji, this question also may be similar, but this was there in the mind long back. It is there. We see our Prabhupada disciples all have done so exalted service. Their dedication is incomparable. And we see Prabhupada disciple were so many disciples, they have dedicated their life entirely for Guru mission. I don't understand what I mean, that understand how to achieve that kind of dedication. What is lacking? I hear the example, we are holding a tree. This thing we are not believing and we are not going up. Who is bounding? I. But I don't know how to get rid of. We may hear many classes, but what that kind of surrender, I don't know how it is.
Hare Krishna, so I have a question about what you just mentioned about good association, that you're really picky about. associating with good people. So sometimes, right, as humans, we make mistakes, right? Like who is good? I mean, like how to determine the factor of goodness, right? On what scale? Because like sometimes when we interact with people, immediately we'll think, oh, this is a very nice person, but like down the line we're like, oh, he's not so nice. So like how you choose that. If you can like shed some light on that, that would really appreciate it. Thank you.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. So Prabhuji, you have seen thousands and thousands of devotees being made from scratch, and you have also seen over last 35 years what sustains a devotee and what are the pitfalls because of which they leave. Also, what are the windows through which hypocrisy enters? Because I remember in one class you were mentioning about whether it comes through the phone, gadgets. So what are some pitfalls, in short, that we should be aware of? Because we many times hear Lakin Sadhana and Vaishnava Aparadha. But you have counseled Grihasthas and seen brahmacharis in and out. So what would be, without we going through all of those experiences, what would be some pointers to be absolutely careful about? Along the lines of relationships and devotees, like sometimes we notice that certain behavior of certain devotees may drive other people away. So what are some of the things that we need to be careful of as devotees that we don't do, so that we deny the opportunity for someone else? Like sometimes we may say something at a haste, yes, or things like that. So how do we make sure that we don't drive devotees away? What are the behaviors that we should adopt that we don't do that?
Good, very good, nice questions.
One question, Swati Mataji.
Yes, yeah.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dhanavad Pranam. Prabhuji, my question is related to everybody asked, Vaishnava Aparadha, which you gave recently in Hyderabad.
Mm.
So we think that, means I try my level best, we should not do Vaishnava Aparadha and all, but still immediately some devotees similarity and also immediately it comes in my mind. Oh, they did. It's when it comes in mind, when someday later it will come to through Vani also. So how I have to take a precaution, and because they are also Krishna's part and parcel, we have to always think, as you mentioned, but that consciousness is not there in mind. And how I had to purify, because I had to, eternally had to serve Krishna, because I have to go with all the devotees only, because they also will be in Golok Vrindavan. So how I have to make a unity, and how I have to be like a swan to take a nectar, not to the crowd like this.
All very powerful questions there. All under training of Amaran Prabhu and Adigadar. That's good questions. Thank you. So I will go from the last question and gradually go backward, one by one. So for the last question, Vaishnava Aparadha. First of all, they have to know what is Vaishnava Aparadha and what is not Vaishnava Aparadha. Actually, Vaishnava Aparadha is done with a malicious intent. If there is no malicious intent, sometimes there are devotees who get a phobia due to aparadha. We don't have to too much fear like that. So to make it more clear, many of the questions that you all asked now will be answered by this one answer. You will see that. No, the famous verse Atyahara Prayasya Prajal Punyam Agra Jana Sangachya Laulim Shadvid Bhakti. If you see how bhakti gets spoiled, if you see, the first thing that happens is Janasanga only. Janasanga is bad association. So when you come in Janasanga, bad association of people whose association is unfavorable to Krishna consciousness, what they do in that association, they do prajalpa. And what is prajalpa? Bhaktivinoda Thakur says 5 things. He says useless talk, argument, debate, fault finding, blasphemy. These are the evolution of, offensive mentality gradually. First is useless talk. For example, people talk about things which are, not directly helpful in Krishna conscious progress. For example, they talk about who has a bigger car, who has a bigger house, you have only 2 BHK, they have 3 BHK, these people have a bungalow, or sometimes people talk about, his son has gone to that university, your son has gone to a lower university. They make comparison. Like that they talk about this. So or sometimes they talk about which is better, the Ayurveda better, the allopathic better. So, yeah. Which is better? India is better or America is better? Prabhujis are better or Matas are better? This guru's disciples are better or that guru's disciples are better? So there is one verse in 11th canto Bhagavatam. Parasvabhava karmane yah prashansati nindati sahyashu prashyate swarthat asati abhiniveshatah. Very, very strong verse. It says, Parasvabhava karmani. Two things about people you should not talk. What is it? Their svabhava and karma. Their nature and their activities. Don't talk about that. Actually, these are things we talk about. People talk about these two only. His nature is like this, her nature is like this. Don't talk about nature, he says. And I'll tell you the reason why later. But he says, don't talk. Parasvabhava karmani yah prashansati nindati. Don't praise, don't criticize, he says. Now, criticize, we should not criticize, but we should not praise also. Is it wrong to praise somebody? Because sometimes our praise may be loaded with envy also. Like you say, oh, you have such a beautiful car. How could you buy such a costly car? That means he's asking how such a fool like you could purchase such a big car. Or another meaning of that is, I wish I had this car. So therefore, sometimes the praise also may be loaded with envy in that. Or, when a person is praising, it can be flattery also sometimes. Therefore, King Prithu rejected the, professional singers who were praising him. He didn't want to accept that praise. He said, I have not yet done anything. Before even I exhibit my opulences and glories, you're already praising me. Like that he said. So, and criticism also should be avoided, he says. Criticism is very dangerous because many times we become judgmental and we criticize. And later on we regret, oh, alas, I didn't know the actual picture. So therefore useless talk leads to argumentation. And we should not allow the useless talk to go to the point of argumentation itself. Like somebody went to Prabhupada and asked, Prabhupada, which is better? Ayurveda is better, allopathy is better. Prabhupada said, just do the needful. I asked, what is the meaning? Prabhupada said, I take both. If I have enough time to get cured by Ayurveda, I will prefer Ayurveda. But if I see that I have viral fever or something, I quickly have to remove the virus from the body, then I will take antibiotics. Prabhupada is ready for anything. Basically, body is a shariram kala dharma sadhanam. So dharma sadhan, keep it fit so that you can serve Krishna. Don't fight about whatever works for you. If homeopathy works for you, take that. Don't argue about these things. And also, it's not that Prabhujis are good, Matajis are bad. And Matajis are very wonderful Mataji devotees. Prabhujis are a very wonderful devotees. And in both the cases of Prabhuji Mataji, trouble-giving people are also there. So, therefore, in this world, we should not see the swabhava and karma, he says that. And useless talk, argumentation, debate, and after that comes fault finding. When we do debate, even our Saru Bhattacharya told Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he said that Tartika Srigala Sanghe Bhev Kari. He says that I was a false logician and I was arguing on things as if I knew everything, but I was a fool number one, he says about himself. So when we debate, that leads to fault finding in one another. Actually, fault finding is a mild version of aparadh. And fault finding means you dislike somebody. When you start disliking somebody, you dislike everything. If they smile also, you say, why you are smiling like this? Don't show your teeth. Say like anything they do. What do you want them to do? Want them to cry or what? And they're walking, they will say, why he's walking like this? Why she's walking like this? Actually, if you don't like somebody, anything they do will not be liked by you. And if you like somebody, even if they chastise you, will say, how sweetly he's angry. So that dislike is a very problematic thing. There is one saying that for a crow, the offspring of a crow is the most beautiful in the world. So Actually, a crow's child is not that beautiful, but he thinks like that. Correct, no? Yeah. Like a man had a son who was a blind boy. He gave him the name Padmalochan. No? They may think, yeah, actually he's a blind guy and he's calling him a very sweet name he's giving him. So you will see that because he's his own son, like that he's giving. So therefore, whenever a dislike develops for any Vaishnava, you can do three things immediately. Immediately go to those Vaishnavas who admire this Vaishnava and ask them, why are you admiring the Vaishnava so much? Tell me some of his glories. And take a notebook, pen, note down 10 glories, 20 glories. And then see from that spectacles of those glories, then your dislike will go away. Another thing we can also do is see what this Vaishnava has done for Prabhupada's mission. So many years of sacrifice, so much hard work. So and so is doing the services so well. Now, find out what service that Vaishnava is doing, and from other managers and everybody, and then develop admiration, appreciation for that service. And in case that Vaishnava is connected to you in some way, personally also you have received some benefits from that Vaishnava, then you should also think about that. I have personally received so many benefits. How I can bite the hand which fed me. Don't bite the hand that feeds you, it is said now. Many times it has been seen in this world, in the senior, junior, the same senior who brought you to Krishna consciousness and raised you, we develop antagonism towards them many times. It has been seen again for them. So therefore, one should give up that. So this is the third thing you can do. And in this way, Bhaktivinoda Thakur says this. If you do these things, and the fourth thing is, after doing these three things, you should make it a point to glorify that Vaishnava. Because now you have sufficient information to glorify the devotee, serve the devotee. And you don't condemn the devotee, condemn your own mind. That you nasty mind, you are so judgmental, you have such critical scripts that you find fault with everybody. Amar Jivan Sada Paperata Nahi Ko Punyera Lesa Parere Vangvega Diyachi Ekoto Diyachi Jivera Klesha. That song is a beautiful song. So song is very sweet, but meaning is very dangerous because it is talking about our father. So when His Holiness Niranjan Swami Maharaj was once singing, everybody enjoyed the song. So beautiful, but when you read the meaning, you understood, my Lord. So Himsa, Garva, Vibhushana. In a violent nature and Garva are my two earrings that I wear. So then people understood, oh, I never thought this. So that's the beauty of Vaishnava song. You can sweetly sing and then realize the meaning also subsequently. So in this way, in the fault finding stage itself, we should nip it in the bud, that propensity. If we don't do that, that fault finding becomes blasphemy. And blasphemy means, what is the difference between the two? Fault finding means dislike. Blasphemy means hatred. Hatred goes to dvesh. Dvesh is a very tough thing. Raga and dvesha are very difficult. Attachment and hatred are two sides of the same coin. You will see that Kaikeyi was very fond of making her son the king, but she developed a hatred for Rama. Similarly, you'll find Dhritarashtra was very fond of making Duryodhana the king, but he developed hatred for Bhima. You will see that. Similarly, you will find, when the queens of Chitraketu, they were very fond of the king. They wanted attention. They were attention seeking. When they didn't get attention and love from the king, they killed the child of Kruti because they developed hatred for Kruti. So you will say an attachment and aversion are two sides of the same coin. You will see that. So when we hate a Vaishnava, then material attachments develop. You will see that. Like Duryodhana is called as a Krishna bit in the Bhagavatam. So the biggest mistake Dhritarashtra did was to nurture Duryodhana, who was envious of Krishna and his pure devotees. And therefore, he also got destroyed along with him. The whole dynasty was finished. We will see that. So, therefore, we cannot allow hatred to reside in our heart. Hatred burns our heart. So, parasvabhava karmani, prashansati, nindati, sa hi ashu means quickly. Brashate swarthat, he says. Prashyati means destroyed. So arthat means what? Our ultimate artha is what? Nati vidu swartha gatim hi Vishnu. Our swartha is to attain lotus feet of Krishna, the spiritual world. That purposeful goal will be spoiled. We won't be able to achieve it, he says. Very unfortunate thing. Even though we may practice devotion service, if we blaspheme a Vaishnava, develop hatred for Vaishnava, then the goal is not achieved. You see, in Ram Leela, there are two associates on either side of Rama, Mainda and our Dvivida. Just like Lalita Vishaka. Like that, they are associates. Hanuman is sitting down and they both are on the sides. You will see in some temples they worship them even now. You will see that. In some temples they have this Mainda and Dvivida they have. But this Dvivida, the problem with Dvivida was he had Janasanga. With whom? Narakasya Saka Kaschit Dvivido Nama Vanaraha, it is said. So there was a Vanara whose name was Dvivida. He made friendship with Narakasura. And who is Narakasura? He had friendship with Banasura. So all the asuras are together, birds of the same feather. That's where the problem comes. So we have to choose the divine association, not demoniac association. If anybody is blaspheming of Vaishnavas or GVC or Guru or Sannyasis or other devotees, as soon as you hear, immediately you run away from the place. Plug your ears and run away. You say that I'm not interested in this. So, in this way, he says that Janasanga leads to Prajalpa. And the Prajalpa are the 5 things I told you just now. And when they do Prajalpa, by that what happens? By that Prajalpa, Laulya develops. Greed develops. Like somebody is saying that, see, you have two children now. How will you live in that 3 BHK house? It will be nice to have an independent bungalow. Somebody says like that. And they will say and go away. After they went away, it will be haunting in your head. I think now our house is becoming small now. House is not becoming small. Our demand is becoming big. Correct, no? So you will see that. And these are the fellows who will give the seed ideas and go away. Where did they get this? Like one boy came from Australia. He came to the city and then he got married. So his in-laws told him, now you are foreign return. You can't afford to, take a 2 BHK, 3 BHK and all. You should have independent bungalow. That boy said, can I take a row house? He said, no, row house is below standard. You should be independent bungalow with a compound, like that they said. Then he went for it. Then when he got married and 2-3 months he was in city, and then when he was asked there. So now that you have got a independent bungalow very close to temple, I think you'll start coming to temple regularly now. He said, no, another 6-8 years I have to work now. Why? Because he said, I have to pay back for the house. I've taken a big loan now. So then the president told him that, see, your house has come near and you are going far. The purpose of your house coming near the temple is what? You can easily come and associate with devotees. But he said, what can I do? Our in-laws felt that it is below our dignity to have a, 3 BHK or a row house. For that satisfaction, I purchased it. So this is why this Janasanga. The Janasanga will produce greed. It will produce greed. Just like, for example, you finished your prasad just now, over now. Somebody is coming and give crack jack biscuits, for example. Biscuit with holes and salty, crispy. So if you eat it, what is it called as? Is it physical hunger or mental hunger?
Mental hunger.
Yes.
Overeating.
Janasanga produces mental hunger. So mental hunger means what? Actually, you don't have hunger in the belly. You already have eaten. Somebody is coming in Sonbabdi. Prabhu, this is Giriraj Sonbabdi. And you may give a justification. Prabhu, from Vrindavan, Prasada has come. How can we not take? After all, we are Vaishnavas. See, which Purana says you have to eat, prasadam now only. One Purana says that. Prapta matrena bhaktavyam. You know that? That also people will quote. Yeah. Prapta matrena bhaktavyam. It says that. That was quoted by Sarvam Bhattacharya. So when Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave prasad. That one logical answer you can give them. Tell them that take only one pinch of that Sonbabdi. And that you put. Rest of it, keep it and you can take it tomorrow. Because your prasadam is already done. That they will not agree. Because, Prasad, whether you take a pinch or the full, both are same. But if you take the full, it's going to spoil your belly. The whole idea is this mental hunger. I'm just telling in terms of eating, but in the same manner, there are many, many mental hungers. For example, the man is wedded to a wife. We should look at all other women as a mother. Matravat paradareshu. But Ravana was not like that. He saw with a different intention. So that is also mental hunger. Trishna, we call it. So Janasanga leads to Trishna. Similarly, you are in a good job. In those days, one boy was earning 45,000 rupees in India. Now it will be like 4.5 lakh per month. It will be like that. So his company told him 2 more hours. Now you are working 12 hours. Just add 2 more. It will become 14 hours. Then we will give you, 5,000 more. They said. So his friends told him, "Hey, very good idea. You will get a round number, 50,000." So he went and asked his wife, "What do you think about this?" She said, "Brilliant idea." So then he started working in the company 2 more hours. Then he started getting stiff neck, back pain, and indigestion, the belly ulcers and everything. So he went to a doctor. Doctor said, "Panchakarma, you have to take this treatment, that treatment." So every month you have to spend 5,000 rupees. So did he earn anything? No, he earned the pain. This is also mental hunger. So therefore, you will see that, Janasanga produces, Janasanga leads to Prajalpa, talking with these people. The Prajalpa leads to Laulya. Once the Laulya comes, we develop the greed for Atyahara, accumulating more than necessary. Like I had gone to somebody's house, they had a big garage, almost, 3/4 of this hall size garage. In the garage, they showed there were teddy bears from this size to huge size, like a Godrej bureau, that size. There were 10 teddy bears. And the last one was bigger than me also. So, huge. So I was asking them, how a small boy can play with this teddy bear? You have seen like that?
Yes.
They say, no, different people come and give birthday gifts. What to do? We put it in the garage and give it. We are using garage as a godown kind of thing. This is Atyahara. Atyahara means accumulate so much and you don't use them. Just keep on accumulating more and more. There is a tendency. One fellow came and told me, in a jukebox there are, 50,000 lectures and songs and everything. I asked, how many of them you have heard? Oh, there is no time to hear. That is also Atyahara. Atyahara means accumulating books, accumulating pens, accumulating lectures, but not using them. You should give it away immediately. Therefore, Brahmana means both. Yes, he accepts charity also. And if he has excess, what does he do? Use it away. So you bring a Mayapur cake to your home, what will you do? You can do 2 things. Either keep it in the bureau and daily eat little. Or you can call all the devotees and share it with everybody and eat your piece. Correct, no? He was selling prabhuji, Radhavan Maharaj, I heard he was selling. Kabhi bhi meetha padarth akele खाना नहीं चाहिए. He was selling. मीठा पदार्थ लाते हो तो तुरंत लोगों को बुलाओ, उसको बंटवारा कर देना चाहिए. मीठा पदार्थ खाने के लिए नहीं, बंटवारा करने के लिए. और दवाई जैसे खाना चाहिए. I have his recording with me, what he spoke. He says that 2 things he was speaking in that talk. It's only 8-minute talk. We have got a clip. He says one is, opulent items should be taken moderately, because if you eat them more, you will develop mental hunger. Like cocoa chocolate, when children eat it, the gems. After eating, do they keep quiet? Show me the packet. I will take care of the packet. Give me here. After finishing 1 packet, get me 4 more. Until all my teeth are gone. Correct, no? So that is called greed. Correct, no? You will see that. So, and then he also said, you should not overeat also. How do you know you have overeaten? He says, overeaten means, after eating, you will feel like lying down. You feel like sleeping after eating. Yeah, he said, you see the lorry drivers in the motel After eating, are they going to sleep? They will sit in the driver's seat and they'll drive. They don't sleep at all. That means they've eaten moderately. If you overeat, actually eating is for what? Eating is to get energy to serve Krishna. That's the purpose of eating. And what is the definition of energy? Students will know. Energy means capacity to do work. That's energy. That means after eating, if you are sleeping, are we getting capacity to do work or are we lethargic? You can see that. So, therefore, when laulya develops, then we go for atyahara. Eating too much or accumulating more than necessary things which you don't even use. And we keep on accumulating. And for that accumulation, for you to do accumulation, we have to do prayas. And the prayas, karma prayas, jnana prayas, yoga prayas. Karma prayas is modern days. We see people work 16 hours a day. That verse says, Nayam deho dehavadam duloke, kashtan kaman argate vidapujam. Actually, when one lecture Prabhupada says, a bird in the morning when it rises, is asking for where is my food? 1 kilometer he flies. And in the forest, there are so many fruits available. You just pluck some fruits, brings it to nest, and that is destined for him. It's available. And Krishna is so kind that he produces millions of fruits. In fact, in forest, many fruits even fall on the ground. There is no one to eat. Somebody may ask why Krishna is producing more than what the birds need. Just like when I was coming back to Pune, my mother once packed so much precise. I told her, pack a little bit. But she packed so much, 5 people can eat it. So after eating also, I only ate this 1/5 of it. I called her and said, who told you to pack like this? She said, I was afraid you should not fall short. That's the way mother feels, correct, no? Similarly, Krishna also feels, my children shouldn't fall short for food. So he sent so much fruits, he sends. Correct, no? So, and the fruit is already available for him. We just have to go that 1 kilometer, fly it, little bit endeavor you do, it will come. That is called destiny. Similarly, 8 hours of work you do, whatever money comes, accept it as Krishna's mercy and be satisfied. And if you're going to work 10 hours, 12 hours, you will see that you may earn money and then that causes trouble. You will see that. But the problem is most people see others and think, they are working so hard. They are making so much money. I also thought that unhealthy comparisons come by bad association. In good association, in spiritual life, we should always look up like this. Namaran was so advanced. Adivatar was so advanced. Let me go and learn something from them. And that way we should say. And material life, we should always look down. You should see, these people are getting 1 plate of food once in 3 days. And I am eating 3 times one day. Correct, no? So am I not fortunate materially? So you have 2 eyes and 2 hands, 2 ears, hands, legs to walk. There are many people who are blind. They have not seen the sunlight at all. There are people who are lame. There are people, who have heart problem, this problem, that problem. If you have a healthy body, that itself is a gift. So in material life, you think about what you have already got and be satisfied. In spiritual life, you never become satisfied. You should always hanker to advance more. That's the right perspective. Spiritual greed is wanted, not material greed. So the prayas is, karma prayas means working hard with the body and mind for working hard for making money and accumulating goods. And like one time we had in Jaidepur, Satyavan's house in Pune, we raised a question about what is security. So one Mataji said, if you have a own house and 25 lakh rupees, it is security. So another Mataji said, at least 50 lakhs. And one Mataji said, 1 crore at least, and one house. One Mataji said, at least 5 crores. So then we found that everybody has a different idea of security. They have their own idea of what is security. So that means the people, and therefore once the greed element enters into our head, we cannot be happy. There are grahasthas who are very simple. I'll tell you one example. In Pune, I went to give Bhagavatam. In the slum area, one fellow had a small house, very, very poor family. Only one small house, it's like 10 by 10 or something like that. But the father, mother, and 4 children, 2 daughters, 2 sons, all wearing tilak, and he is smiling very happily, standing outside the house with garland and flowers and everything. So when I went inside their house, half the house they made altar only very big. Offered obeisances. Then I said, how will you keep the lecture? I said, no, lecture is not inside the house, it's outside only. And then they took me outside, put me in the asana. Everybody was sitting, some 40, 50 people came. I spoke. So he is doing some LED business. Monthly he gets 2 or 3 orders he gets, that's all. And family is running. And he said, to buy this one Bhagavatam, last 4 years I'm accumulating money. He said, little by little by little. And he said, I know very well that if I take Bhagavatam, you'll come to homes of devotees. Therefore, I have been gathering this money little by little, and they were taking. So I was thinking that these fellows are living such a poverty-stricken life, and they're so happy. And he was telling, in our home, all of us together attend Mangalarti, Narsingarti, Tulsiarti. We do japa together, family, and many neighbors come and join them. In fact, he was borrowing Bhagavatam and reading till now. Now he got own Bhagavatam now. So I am saying, on the other hand, there are millionaires who have big doors in their house. They say, beware of dogs. They put the board. No sadhu can go inside. There is no association at all. There is no Bhagavatam, there is no Kirtan. So, therefore, tavat kara griham griham. It is said, Brahmaji says that. There, griham became Karagraham for them. What they use. So that fellow is greedy. He's making a lot of money. He has accumulated a lot of goods, but he's not making any spiritual progress. You see. So the prayas, atyahara is useless. And for doing atyahara, we have to do prayas. And this prayas is condemned in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Why? Like you see, Bhagavatam says that either the money will leave you or you will leave the money. Either of the two definitely will happen. If you somehow survive till death, nobody stole your money, then at the time of death, you will leave the money and go. Somebody else is going to enjoy that money, not you. Or before the death comes, somebody else may take away the money from us. Like one boy purchased a very costly laptop, like this MacBook. I don't know how costly it is. So he had accumulated 2-3 years money and purchased a MacBook. In Africa, I was selling. He was sitting in his room and typing and doing something in the window. 2 hands came in with the gloves. I want the gun. Another hand was saying like this. So, and he saw, who is that? Outside he saw in the glass, there was a mask covering the face and eyes were watching. So how many of you will give the computer? Most of them are ready. How many of you will not give the computer? Anybody? See, if you don't give, that's all. And you'll take it. Anyway, computer is going to go. Either you die and then it's taken away. So that fellow said, 2-3 years I accumulated and I got it. Now it was taken away in one moment. It was taken. That's what Bhagavatam says. Either money will leave you or
you will leave money.
You will leave money. The example is given of the honeycomb. Honey bees accumulate so much honey, but one day a farmer comes with a fire torch and drives away the honeybees and takes it all away. Correct, no? In one minute, they lose everything accumulated. So, therefore, one should certainly work hard. But for what? For accumulating that thing which will never be destroyed. Now, 3 things we carry with us at the time of death. Punya, Papa and Bhakti Sukriti. But Punya gets exhausted. Ketam Bhuktva Saralo Lokam Vishalam. Shene Punya Madhya Lokam Vishanti. Punya gets over the heaven. Papa gets over in hell. So, these are all accounts which will be deleted over a period of time. Correct, no? Like you have a bank balance. You keep on taking money from the bank balance and spending, it will get exhausted. Like that, Punya Papa get exhausted. What doesn't get exhausted? The Bhakti Sukriti. Like today, you all chanted in the morning. So that is registered in your account. And Super Soul keeps that account. And nobody can touch it because it is called as an indeletable, undeletable file. Nobody can delete it. If somebody tries to put a cursor and says delete, access denied. Because Lord directly, and that is why Vishnudas came and cut the Yamapash of Ajamila. Actually, Vishnudas told Yama, see, don't think Yamadutas are fools. They were also very learned. Vishnudas asked them, hey, do you know what is knowledge? What is Vedas? And immediately they answered it. Veda pranihito dharmaha adharmastat viparyayaha vedo narayana sakshat Swayam Bhuriti Shishruma, they say. Veda Pranihito Dharma. Vedas give what is Dharma. We know Dharma, they say. Don't think we don't know Dharma. We are aware, we are learned also. Now, when Yamaraj has taught us, Adharmastat Vipareha. Anybody doesn't follow Vedas, he is a adharmic person. And who has given the Vedas? Vedo Narayana Sakshat. That Narayana, Sakshat Narayana has given the Vedas. That means Yamadutas are also very learned fellows. But one important learning they did not have. What is it? Yamaraja has a jurisdiction over sinful living entities only. But as soon as a living entity chants the holy name of the Lord, he is taken out of that sinful people jurisdiction and put in another circle which is under the jurisdiction of Lord Vishnu directly. So as soon as Ajamila said Narayana, immediately he was taken from Yamaraja's custody to Vishnu's custody. And that they were not aware. They were focusing their eye only on one thing. What is it? His sinful activities. And they didn't know the potency and the value of the holy name. They were not aware. And that they had to learn from both Vishnu Dudas and their master Yamaraj later on. You will see that. Then they gave a long list of the shlokas about the glories of the holy name, which even later on Yamaraj was very happy to know that these guys heard the glories of the holy name. And then he told further glories. Mriyamana Harir Nama Grinan Putro Pacharitam Ajamilo Jagat Dhama Kimuta Shaddaya Grinan Namocharana Mahatmyam Hare Pashyata Putrakaha Ajamilo Pite Naivam Mrityupashada Muchata. He's saying for Mrityapash, there's one holy name has saved Ajamila. That is because of the Bhakti Sukriti he did. What is that? One Narayana, that's all. See, if one Narayana is so powerful, you all are doing 16 rounds, how much more powerful it will be? And that too, whole lifetime you are doing. Kimuta Shraddhyagrana. You know that you are doing it for Krishna on the order of Guru. So, in this way, Bhakti Sukriti should be accumulated with very great attention without diversion or distraction. So, all other accumulated things will be finished, Atyahara. So, now, one last element in this sloka you will find is Niyamagraha. So what is the Niyamagraha? Actually, when you do Janasanga, we do Niyamagraha. Actually, Janasanga leads to Laulya. Janasanga leads to Prajalpa. Prajalpa leads to Laulya. And Laulya leads to desire for Atyahara, for accumulating. And for doing the Atyahara, we need to do Prayas. And when we become engaged in Prayas, we do Niyamagraha. Now, what is Niyamagraha? Niyama Agraha and Niyama Agraha. Two meanings are given there. So Niyama Agraha means neglecting spiritual duties. Like some grahasthas come and ask, Prabhu, is it all right if I chant in the counter instead of the Tulasi beads? Then I ask them, why did Guru Maharaj give you Tulasi beads? Otherwise, he could have given you a counter that time. Is counter sacred? Tulasi is sacred. And Guru has touched the Tulasi bead and chanted. And it is very potent. Guru has supplied the potency in the mala. So you should chant in that mala only. No, Prabhuji, while driving the car, it becomes difficult to chant in beads. Beads shouldn't get stuck. But who told you to driving the car, you should chant? You should actually sleep early, rise early, and chant at home and then go to office. You should not drive the car and chant. It is very dangerous. Accidents will happen. And chanting encounter is all right occasionally when imagine you have sometimes, for example, a doctor has 72 hours duty sometimes, you know that? He will know it as a doctor. Yeah. Sometimes in such occasions when one cannot chant, one has such kind of job sometimes. Once in a while, one should actually repentantly chant and finish some or other complete the rounds. But in general, we should use the Japamala. And in this way, the Niyama Agraha means giving up spiritual principles. All of us have to observe our life. You will find sometimes, I was a very serious devotee. Now I am not as serious as in my early days. So one Mataji was asking a question, Prabhuji, I lost my innocence after growing for some more years in ISKCON. How can I get back that innocence? What is that innocence she is talking about? You all know that old Varisan lady climbing on the top of, Chaitanya shoulder and the Radheshyam. She had innocent eagerness to take darshan of Jagannath. So initially, you all can remember when you first time heard, Govindam Adi Purusha. Our hair was standing on end, correct? No? Tamaham bhajami Govindam Adipurusham. So, where is that eagerness gone in the early days? Rasa we got. And that rasa is spoiled by aparad. Aparad chokes. That's what Vishwanath Thakur says in Madhuri Kadambini. He says that, the taste for the holy name and the bliss you get in devotion service. What is aparad? Radha means bliss. Aparad means the bliss is, like choked. You are not allowed to experience the bliss because of the aparad. So, actually, two things don't allow us to experience bliss. One is aparad, another one is mental attachment. See, mental attachment leads to 10th offense. And aparad leads to the first offense, which is hard-heartedness. Correct now? Offending Vaishnavas. That is first offense. So first offense happens due to pride. 10th offense happens due to mental attachment. So what to do? So to curb pride, we should do menial services. Humble menial services we should do. Tuchya seva, the word is used in Chaitanya Charitamrita. When Lord Chaitanya saw Prataparudra doing the Tuchya seva of sweeping the floor in front of Jagannath, he was very pleased. He blessed him. So by doing menial services like washing the pots, bathing the deities and doing deity worship, going out on book distribution, menial services one should do. Especially services which don't catch attention of others. That's important. And on the other hand, if we do limelight service, that will increase our pride. Like one time, one devotee always was very fond of singing, especially into the mic. So he was waiting, when will they give him opportunity to sing Guru Puja on a Sunday morning? Because Sunday morning temple would be flooded with devotees, practically 500, 800 devotees. So he was given chance that day. So he, of course, was prepared. He was rolling up his sleeves for playing between the mridanga, and he took the mic. About to sing, one guru came, one sannyasi, into the temple. So the coordinator of the kirtan told, Guruji, wait a minute, one Maharaj has come. The Maharaj offered obeisances, offered flower to Prabhupada. So the manager asked Maharaj, Maharaj, would you like to do puja for Prabhupada or would you like to sing? And that Maharaj said, I'd like to sing. Then he came running to his devotee and said, Prabhuji, move aside. Maharaj was going to sing. This fellow became very moody. What is this, Prabhuji? This is the second time it is happening. 3 months ago, you gave me a chance. I was about to sing. You gave it to somebody else. Now, second time. So then the devotee said, hey, he's a Maharaj. He's like your father. He's a senior person. Let him sing today. Another day, I'll give you a chance. Don't worry. So he gave away the mridanga to somebody and went away. That goes to show, that means he's Falakankshi. Dambi and Falakankshi. These two are the symptoms of a person in Rajoguna. So Damba Mana Madanvita, it's not very good. Damba means desire to impress others by our kirtan or something like that. And also Falakankshi means fruity mentality. What is in it for me? So these two are very bad mentalities. So that means he's very proud. So how do we curb the pride? We should tell him, go and wash the pots now. Sweep the floor, wash the pots, clean the toilet. And go out and distribute books. Gets a little bit insulted by some people who say, no, not interested, get lost. So we have to get our nose cut. Then only we'll become humble. So that's one thing. Similarly, the 10th offense, what is it? Mental attachment causes 10th. So how do we destroy the mental attachments? That requires intense chanting. Chanting with attention, early morning. Pre-Mangalarti chanting is very powerful. Attentive hearing. That actually destroys the kama karma bijas. Na kama karma bijanam yasya chetasi sambhavaha vasudevaika nilayaha savai bhagavatottamaha. So Bhagavatam, many definitions are given in 11th canto. One of the definitions says, Na kama karma bijanam yasya chetasi sambhavaha. The kama karma bijas do not affect the Uttama Bhagavat. Rather, they are drowned in the pools of spiritual bliss, or they are fried by the jnana. So by Sambandha Jnana, we can fry the seeds, and by drowning the bhakti bliss, we can destroy the seeds both ways. Then they will not fructify, like that he says. So, nakama karma bijanam. So therefore, if I feel mental attachments increasing, that means I have to intensify my reading and hearing, intensify my chanting and hearing, and increase my sadhana, increase the quantity, quality, everything. So that way, so in this way, the prayas, the nemagraha I was telling. Nema agraha means not following. That means gradually decline comes in spiritual life. Like somebody was reading so many pages of Prabhupada books daily before. Now they reduce the reading. Somebody reduces the chanting, or even the 16 round chanting is in doldrums. You know what is doldrum? That means 16 also is not happening so well. 16 is happening, but the fellow knows that my chanting is not, either I have slept off in between, or mind is wandering too much. I am getting into plan making mode. Mind is everywhere in the world except the holy name. So one can see that. That means niyama agraha. One is not doing it properly. So sometimes one is chanting, it will fall also. And then is finding out where is it. Or sometimes phone call comes. When phone call comes, people sometimes keep the voice like this. They talk like this. So they keep it, and then they catch up from there. Correct, no? So actually, Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that if between 1 to 4 rounds, you should not get distracted. Even if you want to do anything, you do after 4 rounds only. You do. For example, don't drink water. 2 rounds are over. Don't drink. Finish the 2 more rounds. 4 rounds, at a stretch you do. Then if you want to do something, you can do. Don't get distracted or diverted by anything. That kind of attentive quality, sincere, early morning chanting can destroy the material attachments. And also, attachment to advance the saintly persons. What is it? Sayeva sadhu shukruto mokshadvaram apavritam. So, like the Narada boy got attracted to the Bhaktivedantas. In that chapter, there is one beautiful verse. Prabhupada says, you want to know the 5 qualities of a prospective candidate for going back home? Back to Godhead. Prabhupada writes in the purport like that. What are they? Yeah. There were 4 qualities before he met our Bhaktivedantas. But after meeting Bhaktivedantas, these 5 qualities are said. Tasyaivam me anuraktasya prashritasya hatainasaha shraddhadanasya balasya dantasya anucharasya cha. This is the verse. 5 qualities, what are they? I'll tell you. Tasyaivam me anuraktasya. He was attached to those Bhaktivedanta Vaishnavas. So we should be having some attachment for great souls. Prashritasya. He was completely submissive to their instructions. Hatainasara. Because of that, the sinful reactions were eradicated. And Shraddhadanasya is the 3rd qualification. Shraddhadanasya means he heard their talks very faithfully and executed their instructions very faithfully also. Shraddhadanasya, balasya. Dantasya means he disciplined his mind and senses. One has to be strict in following the spiritual disciplines given by the spiritual master. The disciplic line of Vaishnava Sampradaya. So Dantasya. Anucharasya cha. He became the perfect follower. Anuchar. Perfect follower. So we do these 5 things. Prabhupada says one should do these 5 qualifications one should cultivate. That means your attachment is spiritual, not sentimental. What is sentimental? One boy wrote to me, Radheshyam Prabhu, I love you so much. I love your lectures also so much, but I cannot follow you. I only cannot do what you are saying. Yeah. He wrote a mail to me. When I met him personally, I was, hey, why you can't do? Prabhuji, I have this problem with that problem. So if somebody says that I love a Vaishnava, but I cannot follow his instructions, that means the love is sentimental love. It is not spiritual love. Spiritual love means we should follow the instruction, what superiors have ordered us to do. So when Prabhupada left the planet, some Vaishnavas, they also left. They couldn't continue Krishna conscious duties. Why? Because their affection for Prabhupada was like on a superficial platform. Deep spiritual means we should align. In fact, the whole Samudramatha Leela pastime is about only one thing, the obedience. That's all. See, I love the pastime for one reason. Why? See, our situation in this world is similar to that of demigods. See, we are not like pure devotees. We are not like demons also. See, demons want to enjoy. They don't want to serve. And pure devotees want to only serve. They don't want to enjoy. But demigods want to do both. Now, demigods want to serve the Lord, you are our master. In between, they want control also. Indra, you see, Indra says, Lord comes, he will fall on his feet and say, oh Lord, you are this, you are that. After Lord goes, he will say, Vajabasi, I will finish you. So you will see that the mental mentalities are there. They want to. So our situation, neophyte spiritual life also is like, we have a combination of desire to boss over people. Sometimes you are like dasana das, another time basana bas. The experience is correct. So therefore, that pastime is very good for us. Which pastime? Samudra Manthanila. Because obedience was taught by the Lord. I was stunned by reading the pastime. Why? Because demigods are also having desire to lord over. But in that particular pastime, they resisted the tendency. And they completely became obedient. Which means even we can also do that. It's possible for us, not impossible. That's what we understand by that. That means you can subdue Shaknoti Vayastodam Praksharidam Mamakshana, it says, no? Kama Krodot Bhavam Viddhi, Sayukta Sasukina, that verse says. So there are 4 types of Vaishnava tolerance taught in the scriptures. One is called as Vegatiksha, which is explained in the first verse of Nectar of Instruction. You all know that. Vacha Vegamanasaveta. Then there is Dvandatiksha. That is explained in the Bhagavad Gita verse. Jitatmana Prashantatma Paramatma Samahitaha Shita Ushna Sukadukeshu Tata Manapamanayo. That means, on the bodily platform there is Shita Ushna. And on the mental platform there is Sukaduk. And ego platform there is Manapaman. These 6 items, if you tolerate, super soul is already reached by you.
Correct.
He says. And Bharat Maharaj, when he became Jada Bharat later on, he tolerated all these 6. His brothers gave him burnt rice, he tolerated. And his father showered so much love, he did not get dissuaded by his father and he didn't go for Karmakanda Vedas. So he tolerated father's affection and brother's atrocities. That is Shita Ushna. Later on, when he met the dacoits put chandan and kumkum, they put silk cloth in his body and garland, and they gave him a big plate of feast. They gave him. So this is Sukh. They gave him Sukh. Later on, they took the chopper and went to cut his neck. That is Dukh. So these fellows gave Sukh, Dukh they gave. And later on, of course, Kali Mata came and finished them all and all. And then later on, when he met King Rahuvana, he gave Manapaman both. You will see that. So all the 6 situations he was having equanimity. That is called Dvandva Titiksha. That is Veka Titiksha, Dvandva Titiksha. And then Paramata Sahishnata. Others' opinion should be tolerated. Like, your relatives, friends are going to give you ideas how you can make more money. Narada says what you should do. You can read the 7th canto, 14th chapter, 6th verse, I think. He says, you should nod the head very fastly, like Tanjore bull. See, in Tanjore, there is a bull, they play tan, 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 and when they play, it will be nodding the head like this. Actually, his nodding has no meaning. Similarly, Narada says, you just nod the head if any materialistic relatives give you idea, you can do this. Because if you don't nod the head, if you oppose them and say, no, Bhagavatam says if you are accumulating wealth, it's not good. You have to also worry about going back to Godhead. Then what will happen? Those people, they will not leave you for hours together. They will harass you. Therefore, he says, Paramata Sahishnata. Okay. You be happy with your opinion, no problem. And at the same time, you should follow Guru's order, he says. And the 4th type of tolerance is Para Utkarsha Sahishnata. Sridhar Swami says that Para Utkarsha Asahanam means Matsarata. Para Utkarsha Sahishnata one should cultivate. That means when others are progressing, say 2 people came at the same time to Krishna consciousness, one is progressing very fast, one is progressing a bit slowly. So we should not feel envy for others. We can take inspiration from others, but we should not feel envy. Somebody, Guru Maharaj is calling somebody and telling something in his ears. Another fellow feels, why he is not telling in my ears? Only his ears. One should not feel envy like that. Like you will never find Yudhishthira Maharaj asking Krishna, I am the eldest of the brothers, why are you giving Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna? Did he ever say that? He never said that. He never felt. Or he could have said, Okay, Gita, you want to tell Arjuna, it's all right. At least you drive my chariot. Did he say that? No envy at all. Okay, Krishna and Arjuna are friends. He wanted to drive his chariot. He wanted to give him Gita. Let him give, no problem. Yudhishthira is non-envious, you see. Para utkarsha sahishnata. So if you cultivate this type of tolerances, so forbearance and tolerance, we call it. In tolerance also there are two types. One is tolerating the anger and tolerating lust. So anger within, one should tolerate also the pushings within and the temptations without. Both have to be tolerated in this world. So in this way, the last one I told you, niyama agraha. Niyama agraha means giving up spiritual life or reducing spiritual intensity. It's like sprinkling water in a firewood. What will you get? What's the result of that? Smoke. You want smoke or fire?
Fire.
Fire serves, smoke troubles. Therefore, spiritual world is compared to fire. Mental world is compared to smoke. But if you are going to dilute our spiritual life, we will only suffer. So then that's how many people leave brahmacharya ashrama or grihastha ashrama, whichever ashram you talk. If you are going to dilute our spiritual life, then when the smoke starts, smoke means the pains that come from sense gratification. And the fire represents the bliss that comes from sincere spiritual practice. That's why it said that if a devotee is practicing spiritual life seriously, there's a tejas. It says that the tejas is increased. But if Ajamila saw some sight and he fell down, he lost his Brahminical intelligence. He lost his Brahminical excellence, Prabhupada writes. He lost his Brahminical excellence. So sense gratification makes us lose Brahminical excellence. And serious practice of spiritual life increases the spiritual influence in a devotee. So this is name agraha. Graha actually, we will see that we actually spiritual life is reducing, material life is expanding. One will see that. Suddenly one is finding, my Lord, I'm losing control. If you're losing control, you're being dragged means tamoguna. Rajoguna means you can restrict to some degree. Tamoguna means we are dragged and slapped and kicked and punched and pounded and buried. That is which guna? Tamoguna, yeah. A person is helpful. You've seen people, drunken people out there. On the other hand, Rajoguna means you make a plan, but you are unable to stick to the plan. That is Rajoguna, Niyamakshama. So many times we make a plan. Therefore, when I was starting this Gitamrita Bindu, one series I did for Bhagavad Gita, I started on Akshaya Tritiya day. But somebody told me that any business you start on Akshaya Tritiya day, that will always grow, that will be successful. So my business was to speak Bhagavad Gita. So 108 sittings, 30 minutes each, I spoke. So I started on the day, exactly 108 days it got over. So of course it was a little difficult. Every day 6-7 hours I would prepare the PPT and
Hindi, English book.
Yeah. So 30 minutes in Hindi, 30 minutes English I did. But although I did that successfully, at the same time I also have experienced that many other plans we make. Sometimes, Ekadashi, we try to chant more rounds. But something comes up, some management thing comes up, some emergency phone call comes up, somebody comes in a group and says, we want to meet you urgently, we want to settle this problem. And we are not able to complete the plan we made. So we have to make a plan and execute the plan. In Rajaguna, our mind tells us that that's more important, this is more important. It's like that. But in Sattva-guna, we can be steady. It's possible to be steady in Sattva-guna. So niyama agraha means not following and compromising. And niyama agraha means what?
Overemphasis on
following, following, but not for spiritual advancement. For the sake of following. Following for the sake of following. Like one time in Pune, there was one group of people. I think they're some kind of like Gujarati people, some kind of Vaishnavas. So they arranged some big Bhagavad Katha. They said some 2,000 people are going to attend. They asked me whether, can you come and give an introduction about Bhagavatam, 20 minutes. You speak. And then our Swamiji will speak for 7 days. They said, we have our own speaker, they will speak. You people can come and do Hare Krishna Kirtan and then speak for 20 minutes in the beginning and leave, and then they will take care. So we don't go for other people's Bhagavad Saptaha like this unless they are having some Vaishnava line. So that was a Vaishnava line. Therefore we went. They were, because in Vaishnavas also there are different type of Vaishnavas, correct now. So when I went, the whole hall was empty. I asked, where are the people? They said 1 kilometer away, they have a silver chariot. They will be bringing Bhagavatam, they said. Okay, so they took me there. So we were all coming and walking. That procession was such a beautiful procession because on the silver chariot, they kept the Srimad Bhagavatam with so much respect, showered with flowers. And then Matajis were dressed like Yashodamaya and Prabhujis were dressed like Nanda Baba. Very nice turbans, and Matajis were dressed in saris, Gujarati dress. So very beautifully the procession came. I also came with them. And then they took Bhagavatam to the top and they kept. And I thought it's going to start now. Again, all of them emptied the whole hall. I asked, what about it? Now we'll bring Swamiji in the same manner. Okay, then I also went. So then we came in the process, Swamiji came. And then that was another, the whole thing became 1.5 hours. And then they put Swamiji in the top also. And then they told me, now you come, now you can speak 20 minutes. You can do it. They gave me a seat also. So one thing surprised me when I went to the top. And Mataji's side was houseful. And Prabhuji's side, 3/4 of the front portion was empty. And back side, some old men were sitting. The youngest man was 80 years old. And there were only about 30-40 men. Mataji's side were like 300-400. And that side only 30-40 men. And I asked them, should I wait? The other men who were coming, many of the business people, will they come now? They said, no, they all have gone to their office now. I mean, their business now. They only came for bringing this Bhagavatam and Swamiji. Now they have gone for on duty, they have gone. They won't come. So I felt this is Niyamagraha because they are accepting, the rituals and formularies of respecting Swamiji and respecting the Bhagavatam. But most important thing is the medicine is not going inside. Because this is Baba Aushadha, Shrotra Manobhiramat, correct now? Without taking the Aushadhi, medicine, how will our Chitta get Shuddha? That they are not aware of this. Therefore, are they respectful? Yes, they are respectful. Are they polite, well behaved? Yes, well behaved. They respect, but the purpose of the respect is to take that medicine. Same thing happened in Chitraketu. When Chitraketu, Angiramani came, he put the Angiramani in an elevated seat and he actually sat in a crouched position under his feet. He gave all due respect to him and everything. But he had made up his mind not to listen to any spiritual instructions because he was attached to one thing. What was it? I want a son. I want a son. He said, this Guruji has to give me a son, that's all. You bless me and give me a son, that's all. Similarly, some parents, they say, Swamiji, we want to come and meet you with our son tomorrow. What time can we come and meet you? I tell them 8 o'clock I'm giving a Bhagavatam class. Can you come? So do you want us to meet you before 8 o'clock? They ask me, no. Class will be 8 to 9, 9:30. 9:30 minutes after the class we can meet. Okay, Swamiji, we'll come at 9:30. No, please come at 8 o'clock. Finish the class, meet at 9:30. And even after telling they won't come at exactly 9:30, they'll say, Swamiji, here is our son, please bless him, he can go to America. He is writing theory TOEFL. So I said, okay, let your son go to America, you come for Bhagavatam at least. So that means, they will bow down, they will give you a donation, they will treat you with so much respect, but the purpose of the respect is forgotten. That is Niyamagraha. Niyamagraha means accepting rules superficially, you see. Similarly, one boy is saying, Prabhu, last 10 years I filled up sadhana card, I never failed. But the problem is getting only 35% in sadhana card. He's supposed to get 80. 80 body score, 80 soul score. Yeah. He's getting 35%. Very proud that I'm filling up sadhana card. What is the use of your filling up? You are not trying to modify it. That is also Niyamagraha. Niyamagraha means, doing it without knowing the goal of it. Correct now. So now what happens when we do Janasangha? Our Vivek Buddhi goes away. The discrimination power goes away. So we cannot know that we are doing Niyamagraha unless somebody tells us. But if you are doing Satsanga, you will clearly be able to see, my Lord, I am not serious in my spiritual life. I am degrading in my consciousness. I am a rascal, I should improve. I have so many things to do. A sincere devotee feels I have a lot of homework to do. in this direction, this direction, this direction. Everybody else will tell you that you are wonderful, you are this, you are that. But the devotee personally feels that that type of dissatisfaction Krishna gives the devotee due to devotee sincerity. And the beauty of the dissatisfaction is that dissatisfaction doesn't frustrate the devotee. It makes the devotee put constructive, positive endeavor to progress towards a goal that he keeps aspiring for. We can keep on improving ourselves. It's always like Ambarish Maharaj was telling his ministers, now that I am touching my Vanaprastha age, I want to go to forest and become a more serious devotee of Krishna. Minister said, my dear king, what were you doing till now? Savai Mana Krishna Padaram, and you say all that. Every day you are going to temple, worshipping Krishna, and using all your sense of Krishna service. What else have you been doing? He said, no, I still have to become more serious, he said. And that Prabhupada writes in the purport. In this material world, a millionaire wants to become billionaire. A billionaire wants to become trillionaire. A trillionaire wants to become zillionaire. Prabhupada writes. In the same manner, a devotee of the Lord also is greedy to advance in spiritual life. He always wants to, he never feels I am sufficiently advanced. He never feels. That kind of consciousness Krishna gives to his devotees. So then we won't get into niyama, graha niyama. We won't do that. So these 6 items, if we study carefully, we can get a lot of help in clarifying many of the questions. So Mataji had asked the question about giving up aparadha. So you heard that verse, don't talk about the swabhava and karma of others. So my spiritual master said, yes, you should find fault, not with others, with yourself. Said, do you look into your own life, how I can improve? That is very good. But I said, but what to do? When I see people, their faults are glaring, I said. Then he said, then keep your eyes half closed, he said. No. When you look at others, keep it half closed. When you look at your faults, keep it fully open. So then by avoiding fault finding, we can avoid blasphemy also. Then there was also a question of Amarendra Prabhu regarding the anarthas and hypocrisy and everything. I think this talk cleared that up. Yeah. And then another devotee was asking about, we see faults in those with whom we can associate, isn't it, and get benefit, but because of seeing fault, we are not able to get benefit, correct? No? That question was asked. So that becomes cleared when you see that, yes, a Vaishnava doesn't mean has no fault. A moon also has black marks, spots, but moon is still giving light. Similarly, you'll find that even a Kanishthadhikari can inspire. Prabhupada says in one purport, even if one is a Kanishthadhikari devotee, he has a staunch faith in Krishna, although he has many faults. He may be proud, Atmana Bhakti, Dharpata and all that. But he has his ability to charm others by his attachment to Krishna. So we should see that Krishnaika Sharanam quality is there in a devotee. And the devotee has so many, at least the devotee is more advanced than me. So I can take association, we can think like that. So then there was also, Mataji asked one question. Your question, what was that?
As grace
consistency. So this talk I gave many grace examples, correct?
Ambarish Maharaj.
Ambarish Maharaj himself, and also all the different examples I gave. In the Grihastha Ashrama, if you associate with those who are consistent and sincere and very serious, then generally more things are caught than taught. More things are caught by observation of others. You get inspired. That's how we get inspired. So we have to find out whom are we inspired by. What example we take. That's very important. Like in America only, there was a very big multi-billionaire. He died of drinking, and he had 2 sons. The first son became a high court judge, very, very big professional. The second son. The first son, he also became a drunkard, and he was also approaching death. So staff reporters asked both of them. The first son, they asked, why do you drink and you are approaching death like this? He said, it's all this bad man, my father. He ruined my life. Like that he said. And the second boy was asked, why your life is so powerful, your brother is not like that. He said, I learned from my father what not to do. He said like that. So therefore, what inspiration do we take? It matters. You can take good in it. Like one time I asked the students, See, Brahma is bewildered, Indra is bewildered, Shiva is running after Mohini Murti. What did you learn? One boy said, Prabhu, from this we understand that the spiritual life is too difficult. So better just, whatever is going on in this world, just go on with that. Is that the lesson? No, you learn that if big people are having difficulty, I should also be very careful. That's a correct lesson. I told him, see, Paramatma is giving you apohanam. He's giving you forgetfulness. Because you have to be sincere for us to get the correct realization out of pastimes. Correct now? So, there were two other questions. Who asked?
What keeps you going?
Correct. Actually, what keeps us going? There's one verse you can read in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Yeme swadharma nirataha tapasas samadhi. That's the beginning of the verse. Yeme swadharma nirataha tapasas samadhi. Very beautiful verse. It's coming in third canto. And somebody can find out the number and tell me. Yeme swadharma nirataha tapasas samadhi. This is about devotee serving Kardamani. Very beautiful verse.
545.
545. Not that one. It's a third canto. It is. Where devotee is serving our
323.7.
323.7. So in that purport, if you read purpose says, a disciple may be not so advanced, not so learned, not so great tapasvi or anything, not so potent or powerful. But if one is faithfully serving the spiritual master, then the spiritual master can give spiritual realization to the devotee. Prabhupada writes that. Just like devotee got the darshan of spiritual world by serving Kardamani. He told Kardamani, told him, my dear good wife, you did not ask anything. All these years, effectively, your body has become emaciated. And I've been into my devotion service, but you always assisted me. Now, here I am going to show you darshan of the spiritual world. He gave her that realization to her. And also, wife attains the same destination by what husband attains also. The same manner that is used for explaining the example of Guru and Shishya also. But Shishya is faithfully serving Guru. Actually, some devotees ask a question, Prabhuji, in this lifetime, is it possible to attain prema, Krishna prema, in one lifetime? I always tell them that, why are you worrying about that? You should only ask one question, am I pleasing my spiritual master? If Guru and Krishna are pleased with you, it is their job to take you back to Godhead. You don't, and it is a fact actually. If you see, Jatayu failed in his war against Ravana, and that very evening Lord Rama sent him to Vaikuntha. Is there any college you fail in exam, they'll give you a degree? Only Ram can give. Correct now? In spiritual life, the equation is totally different. Correct now? Because the same way, Lord doesn't appreciate the quantity of work. Lord appreciates the capacity. The best capacity you have, you utilize it, like a squirrel. Squirrel used his best capacity. Lord Ram was as happy as he was happy with Hanuman.
Yes.
Correct, no? So the equations are totally different. So spiritually, you don't have to worry too much about what will happen to me, where will I go. In that purpose will say, you'll see what are the graces of the Lord. If you have attained the grace of Guru and Krishna, the proof is two things: Abhayan, Ashokan. He writes in that purport. Abhayan means you will become completely free from fear. You will not, COVID has come, what will happen? You will not fear. Mera kya hoga? That fear will go away. What will happen to me? And Ashokan means you will not lament for any losses in life. Oh, this didn't happen, that didn't happen. There are people who are always negatively lamenting. You have seen that? Or there are people who are always fearful about different things. These two things will go away when a devotee becomes advanced in spiritual life. Lord's mercy comes in the life of a devotee. So, Prabhupada, there is one more verse I will tell you. What is that word? Apavritai Karnarandrai. Sorry. Dishtya Tvayana Sishtoham. That's the beginning of the verse. Dishtya Tvayana Sishtoham Anugraho Mahan. It comes as Apavritai Karnarandrai. That verse also has very good purport. So, Apavritaihi Karnarandrai. He says the Prachetas, when they met Lord Shiva, So, Lord Shiva gave them instruction. They took the instruction to their heart. Tadhyayanta, Pujayantasya, Smarantasya Nityada. What they did, they took the instructions of Guru to their heart They worshipped those instructions, kept it in the highest pedestal of their life, and they were repeating to each other. You got the verse now?
Yes. 3:22:7.
3:22:7. Tishtya Tvayana Srishtam. That purport is very vital for practicing devotees, because in that purport says one should hear the instructions with an open ear. You may say, my ears are always open only, you may say. Eyes can be closed, but how can you close the ears? Huh? You may say that, but it's called as a open mind, attentive ear and an open heart. So one should hear the instruction. And then that purpose says, the disciple should hear the instruction well, note it down, and only focus on that, fulfilling that instruction. Not even think about going back to Godhead. Going back to Godhead, who will take care? Guru will take care. Krishna and Guru will take care. So that Prabhupada mentions in that purport, you will see that. Like you think about small babies, 6 months old babies. Do they worry about cold or heat? Winter is coming, what will happen to me? Mom, will you give me a sweater? Do they ask? So who worries about getting sweater? Mother. Same thing with devotees also. Whatever has to be done for you, Lord will take care. And we should do our part for the Lord. Yeah, this is what Lord was worried about Ambarish. Ambarish was so much absorbed in devotion service. Lord told Ambarish, hey, you are not sufficiently cautious about taking care of yourself. You're king of the world. You should have security. You should go in a bulletproof jeep. You're not taking care. Still he was not taking care. Then Lord told Sudarshan Chakra that you go and keep rotating above his kingdom, above his palace, so that whenever this fellow becomes a little careless, somebody can cause him damage, you should do your job. So Lord had sent Sudarshan Chakra as a protective agent for Ambarish. So in this way, Lord will protect us also if we do our part well. Yes, let us have some addition by Amarendra Prabhu and Adivada. I spoken a lot. What was actually you can come here and speak. I'll take my prasad in 15 minutes. No. Kirtan always was going on before also, but you both should speak surely. And this is for you. Come now, brother. It's my order. You have so many rich wealth of wisdom to tell everybody.
I'm very embarrassed now. Yes, I'll sit. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Gadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram. We all witnessed the outpour of the heart of His Grace Radheshyam Prabhu, where so many instructions were given. So our duty at this point, it is just my reflection, is to go back and hear this recording again and take notes and systematically, thematically know what to do with this information. Because Prabhuji has spoken for over an hour and he has answered our questions in different directions with different examples, different stories, different instances from his real life experience. And so many instructions were given for practical sadhana perspective. So this class was so rich. It's like, it's like thick, like rabdi. So we have to savor it again. Muhuhu, muhuhu. So my humble reflection in this regard is the verse of Rupa Goswami, Atyahara Prayasa Prajalpaniyamagraha. This verse came alive with so many realizations. So I feel all of us should hear this class again and pause and hear, pause, write. Hear, pause, write. Because otherwise, this class is so thick with information, knowledge, and experience that it's very difficult to have all of that in one go. So my request to everyone here would be not say anything else, but just an addition to this class that all of us have a homework now to take proper advantage of this class. We have to thematically, when we hear a class, it's very interesting. His Grace Radheshyam Prabhu in one class, he was saying that any class of Srila Prabhupada that Prabhuji hears, he can summarize the whole class in 5 minutes. Whole class in 5 minutes. Because what he does is in his notebook, he writes introduction to what the central theme is that Prabhupada is trying to say. And then to support that point, what are the sub-points? And then what are the scriptural examples? And then what are the take-home lessons? So every class has a relishing point, and it also has a reflecting point. There are some points where we say, oh, wow, that was so good. But then there is a plan of action also. There's call for action at the end of the class. What's the point if we hear everything, but our lifestyle doesn't change, right? So I think as homework, we can go back and hear this class and put it thematically, that what was the central theme of the class. And the central theme, in my understanding, was the elaboration on the verse. And then having to understand the order in which those from Atyahara, Prayasa, and Janasangha, etc. were presented. What is the root which causes the other evil? Then to reflect in our life, where are the points where we are going wrong? Are we doing Janasangha with respect to people? Are we doing Janasangha with respect to gadgets? Are we doing Janasangha with respect to internet? Vastu Sangha, Janasangha, Anna Sangha, where are we going wrong? So to reflect upon that. And also one more thing is to share this with others. We all have this homework of putting it thematically, reflecting and sharing it with at least 3 to 5 people in the next 10 days. So that this information goes deeper and deeper. His Grace Radheshyam Prabhu was saying that the more we share, the information starts living with us. And all the verses that Prabhuji quoted, it is our homework to go back and go to those verses. Preferably, if possible, memorize those verses, see world through the lens of those verses, and share those verses with others. So what Prabhuji has given is like a lecture. It's like a whole book. And now we have the duty of going and studying it. So I wouldn't add anything in any other direction apart from refocusing all of us. That Prabhuji, like a coach, he has given us the direction. Now all of us as the members in this team, we have to know what to do with that information. Individually, family-wise, and collectively as a community. Gaur Premanande.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. When we were coming from the airport, Amarendra Prabhu and His Grace Radheshyam Prabhu, they were conversing, and I was not even understanding what they were talking. The verses they were quoting, the Siddhanta they were talking, it was all going above my head. So I'm not qualified to say anything, but His Grace Radheshyam Prabhu mentioned a couple of verses. So I will just read those verses and purport, but I don't know anything. This is a 3.23.7 from Srimad Bhagavatam. This is one of the verses that His Grace Radheshyam Prabhu recommended that we read. Ye me swadharma niratasya tapa samadhi vidyatma yoga vijita bhagavat prasada tam evate mad anuse vanaya varuddhan drishtim prapashyavataram abhayan ashokan. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Kardama Muni continued, I have achieved the blessings of the Lord in discharging my own religious life of austerity, meditation, and Krishna consciousness. So, I think this refers to Yeme Swadharma Niratasya Tapa Samadhi. I have achieved the blessings of the Lord in discharging my own religious life of austerity, meditation, and Krishna consciousness. Although you have not yet experienced these achievements, which are free from fear and lamentation, I shall offer them all to you because you are engaged in my service. Now, just look at them. I am giving you the transcendental vision to see how nice they are. Purport. Devahuti engaged only in the service of Kartama Muni. She was not supposed to be so advanced in austerity, ecstasy, meditation, or Krishna consciousness. But imperceptibly, she was sharing her husband's achievements, which she could neither see nor experience. So, Mataji had asked a question as Grihasthas, how we can make advancement. And Srila Prabhupada, the purport, is telling us how by just following our dharma and serving each other, we can achieve the same result. Radheshyam Prabhu was saying that the husband and wife, they attain the same destination if they serve together. So Kartama Muni is telling Devahuti, you will achieve the same destination as me. Automatically, Devahuti achieved these graces of the Lord. What are the graces of the Lord? This was the point that His Grace Radheshyam Prabhu was making. What are the graces of the Lord? It is stated here that the graces of the Lord are abhay, free from fearfulness. Abhay, no fear. In the material world, if someone accumulates $1 million, he's always full of fear because he's always thinking, what if the money is lost? But the benediction of the Lord, Bhagavat Prasad, is never to be lost. Which verse from Bhagavad Gita is this? That devotional service is never lost? Hare Krishna. Neha Vikramanashvasti Pratyavayana Vidyate. Yeah. Sarvam Vasa Dharmasya Trayate Mahato Bhayat. There is no question of loss. It is simply to be enjoyed. There is no question of loss. One simply gains and enjoys gaining. Bhagavad Gita also confirms this. When one achieves the grace of the Lord, the result is that Sarva Dukkhani, all distress are destroyed. When situated in the transcendental position, one is freed from the two kinds of material distress, hankering and lamentation. What is this verse from Bhagavad Gita?
Na shoshati na kankshati.
Samasarveshu bhuteshu madbhaktir labhate para. See, every sentence of Srila Prabhupada is directly from the Shabda Brahma. It is Shastra. Prabhupada is writing it in simple English, but it is directly from the scriptures. That is Acharya. Always speaks from the scripture. So, where were we? No lamentation, no hankering. Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma, na sochida. This is also stated in Bhagavad Gita. After devotional life begins, we can achieve the full result of love of Godhead. Love of Krishna is the highest perfection of Bhagavad Prasad or divine mercy. What is the reference for this? That the highest perfection is love of Krishna. What is the verse? Before Bhagavatam class we recited. Huh? Love of God is the highest destination of life.
Prema Pumarthoma.
Yes, Prema Pumarthoma. Our Srinath Chakravarti has given the whole Gaudiya Siddhanta in one verse. So, Prema Pumarthoma. Srimad Bhagavatam Pramanamamalam. Prema Pumarthoma. So, love of Krishna is the highest perfection. This transcendental achievement is so greatly valuable that no material happiness can compare to it. Material happiness is sukha, but spiritual happiness is ananda. Anandam buddhi vardhanam pratipadam purna amrita asvadanam. It cannot be compared to material sukha. Shri Prabodhananda Saraswati said that if one achieves the grace of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he becomes so great that he does not care a fig, even for the demigods. He thinks of monism as hellish. Kaivalyam narakayate. And he thinks of monism as hellish, and for him the perfection of controlling the senses is as easy as anything. Heavenly pleasures become to him no more than stories. Actually, there is no comparison between material happiness and transcendental happiness. Next paragraph. By the grace of Sri Kardama Muni, Srimati Devahuti experienced actual realization simply by serving. Simply by serving. We get a similar example in the life of Sri Narad Muni. In his previous life, Sri Narad Muni was a maid servant's son. His Grace Radheshyam also told the story about Narad Muni. He was Dasi Putra. But his mother was engaged in the service of great devotees, the Bhaktivedantas. He got the opportunity to serve the devotees, and simply by eating the remnants of their foodstuff, and carrying out their orders, he became so elevated that in his next life, he became the great personality, Narad Muni. For spiritual achievement, the easiest path is to take shelter of bona fide spiritual master and to serve him with heart and soul. So what did Narad Muni do in his previous life? How did he get perfection? He served the great souls. What is that verse? Mahat Sevam Mukti Dwaram. What? Huh? Mahat Seva Dwaram Ahur Vimukte. So if you serve the great souls, then the gate of liberation is open. Thank you. So for spiritual advancement, easiest path is to take shelter of a bona fide spiritual master. As stated by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur in the 8 stanzas of prayer to the spiritual master, Yasya Prasadad Bhagavat Prasadaha. By serving or receiving the grace of the spiritual master, one receives the grace of the Supreme Lord. By serving her devotee husband Kardama Muni, Shri Devahuti shared in his spiritual achievements. Similarly, a sincere disciple, simply by serving a bona fide spiritual master, can achieve all the mercy of the Lord and the spiritual master simultaneously. This point also Radheshyam mentioned. If you simply serve our Gurudev, we don't know Krishna, but we know Gurudev. If you simply serve our Gurudev, then we will get the same destination as our Gurudev. Hariva. End of purport. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki.
Both are very intelligent. So, how beautiful the purport was, you saw that? So this purport, the other one is also very good, which I had given. So you all can legally say, some purports of Prabhupada, they call it as golden purports. It's like golden purport, which will, this is actually the secret of success. Prabhupada is described to Vishwanath Thakur, correct? No? Yeah, correct. So I thank you all for your rapt attention and the brilliant questions at the beginning which you gave. Most of the questions which you all asked will be answered by the 6 items of Prabhu Goswami, which he explains. In the same manner, the Utsaha Nishyat Dharyat verse gives you the positive steps you can take after avoiding Janasangha. In that verse, there is another word called the Sangatyaga. So Sangatyaga means Rajoguna, Tamaguna, Sattoguna. That should be given up. Items of those. So that Sangha comes from the gunas. This Sangha is, bad association. What is it was? Asat Sangatyagi Vaishnavacha, Sri Sangi Eka Sadhu Krishna Bhakta. So later on you can ask Amarendra Prabhu about 6 types of materialists. He will share with you. Those are the 6 types of materialists who give us the wrong seed of karma, jnana, and yoga bijas. From their bad association only, even a good devotee can get polluted by careless association with such satsanga. So, actually, I was whenever I travel, my default mode is I will get into some Krishna pastime in my travels wherever I go, because whatever I am currently reading, currently I'm speaking on 10th canto, and I would have gone into that. But at the same time, I am also concerned that we speak something which will be relevant to our immediate lives, because both are required, anartha nivritti and artha pravritti. So, of course, Amarendra Prabhu has given us abundant artha pravritti lectures. Artha pravritti is absorbing in Krishna, especially his lectures on Damodar Leela and Gopi Geetam. They are so powerful. Very wonderful. You are all very blessed to be here. The whole world is hankering to hear and associate, and you are all here, right here in Atlanta. So take nice advantage of association of Amarendra Prabhu, and also Adi Gadadhar Prabhu is his sadhana practice and everything I heard, which is inspiring even to Amarendra Prabhu. He told me.
He is guiding me. Whatever he tells
actually,
me.
It's very difficult to know who is guiding whom. Both of them claim that. Yeah. So, but one thing is evident from their behavior. They are very first-class Vaishnavas who are free from fault-finding tendency. There's no propensity for finding fault. Rather, seeing good and appreciating and cherishing in us. This is actually the right attitude for growing in spiritual life. You all are in very good company here. So thank you for tolerating me. I'm just here today and tomorrow I'm proceeding back. But in case you all are coming to India anytime at ISKCON NVCC Pune, you're most welcome. There's a big temple of Radha Vrindavan. You have Radha Vrindavan here.
Yes, yes.
It's Radha Vrindavan. So most beautiful Vrindavan you'll see. And also Balaji also we have behind Balaji temple. Any of you have been there? Any of you? Oh, really? Many have come. Okay. Very nice. So you're welcome. We have a 50-room guest house and a very beautiful morning program. Amaran Prabhu, whenever he comes to India, I have given him a standing invitation. I said, no, you don't even have to write a mail to me. Suddenly you land in NVCC at 8 o'clock. Whoever is a speaker, I will postpone him for next day. We'll put you there. Amaran Prabhu, of course, he came to my sister's homes and did kirtans also. There also, both brothers came. He also came. Arjun Saka Prabhu came. I was in Seattle. Arjun Saka Prabhu was so much glorified by the youth kids, congregation kids.
Yes.
Also, the congregation kids in New Jersey, they are taking inspiration from your brother also. They were telling one of the reasons is those children in the current generation who are born in devotee families, they derive inspiration from other devotee children also. So these two brothers are sending out very good vibrations across the country, and I am actually presenting them as a role model for the congregation kids. Wherever I go, I tell them. I don't have to take trouble to explain about them. They say we know better than you. They know about them already. And this kind of devotees with energy are required here in the West for people to. So in future, I have a plan for arranging one East Coast program for the youth kids from congregation kids. Similarly, one in the West Coast where I want to call both brothers. So thank you all very much. Hare Krishna. Prabhupada ki jai.
Radheshyam Prabhu ki jai.